Can the US Navy blockade the Strait of Hormuz? Within hours of escalation, the US Navy deployed Arleigh Burke-class destroyers into the Strait of Hormuz to take control of one of the most complex maritime environments on the planet. But ships like USS Frank E. Peterson and USS Michael Murphy aren't built for dense civilian traffic under asymmetric threats. And they're not mine-clearing platforms either. So why send them first? Inside the strait, military threats are mixed with commercial tankers moving on fixed routes, civilian vessels behaving unpredictably, small boats that could be fishing craft or attack platforms, and naval mines placed irregularly and hard to detect. Every sensor, radar, infrared, sonar, is overloaded. A destroyer can track hundreds of contacts at once using systems like AN-SPY-1 radar. But detection isn't the real issue here. Understanding intent is. A radar return won't tell you whether a vessel is simply passing through or setting up for a swarm attack. And in Hormuz, that decision window is measured in seconds. So the real question becomes, how does the US Navy control a battlespace it can't fully interpret? The answer isn't a single ship. It's a system. These destroyers aren't operating on their own. They're part of a distributed combat architecture, where sensing, tracking, and engagement are split across platforms, and then brought together in real time. This system is called Naval Integrated Fire Control, Counter-Air, NIFC-CA. A destroyer inside the strait is limited by the horizon. Its radar can't see threats forming dozens of miles away. On its own, it has gaps. Now bring in the next layer. Above the region, E-2D Advanced Hawkeye aircraft provide wide-area radar coverage. Further out, F-35 Lightning II aircraft detect electronic emissions passively, without giving away their position. Now the setup changes. The destroyer no longer has to see everything itself. It receives targeting data from other platforms. An E-2D detects a contact beyond the horizon. An F-35 refines the track and classifies the signal. And the destroyer launches an SM-6 missile at a target it cannot physically see. This is sensor-shooter separation through networked warfare. It solves the first major problem in Hormuz, visibility beyond physical limits. But visibility alone doesn't solve the situation. Hormuz is dense, constantly shifting, and unpredictable. What the system really needs is context over time, not just real-time detection. That's where the next layer comes in. While ships and aircraft handle immediate sensing, the US Navy has built a persistent surveillance grid through Task Force 59. This includes unmanned surface vessels like Sail Drone Explorer, Mantas, T-12 Devil Ray, T-38. These aren't combat platforms. They're persistent data collectors. They operate continuously for weeks, or even months, recording shipping routes, vessel speeds, traffic density, behavioral patterns. Over time, this builds a pattern of life model of the strait. Now the system shifts from reacting to learning. Instead of asking, is this a threat? It asks, does this behavior match what should be happening here? A vessel slowing down in the wrong place. A trajectory slightly outside established lanes. A movement pattern that doesn't match historical data. On their own, these signals don't mean much. But inside a system that's been observing the environment continuously, they start to matter. They become indicators of intent. Now the system filters the chaos. Instead of tracking everything equally, it focuses on what doesn't belong. But even that doesn't fully solve the problem in Hormuz. There's one threat that doesn't move, doesn't emit signals, and doesn't behave abnormally. Naval mines. Mines don't reveal themselves through behavior. They just sit there, silent and invisible. And in Hormuz, they're often deployed irregularly, buried under sediment, anchored at different depths, scattered unpredictably instead of in clear patterns. Even advanced sonar struggles here. The seabed itself, rocks, debris, shifting sand, creates signatures that look almost identical to mines. So the question becomes, how do you deal with a threat you can't reliably detect? Instead of trying to find every mine, the Navy uses controlled activation. Through unmanned systems like knife fish, unmanned underwater vehicles, unmanned influence sweep systems, UISS, common unmanned surface vehicles, CUSVs. The system replicates the acoustic and magnetic signature of a large ship. It creates a false target. To the mine, it looks like a real vessel is passing overhead. The mine reacts and detonates away from actual ships. This is signature spoofing. This changes mine warfare completely. It's no longer about searching one by one. It becomes a trigger and clear approach. At this stage, the system is already influencing the surface, the air, and the underwater domain. but one layer still determines whether control is complete, and you can't see it. In modern warfare, every radar track, every drone feed, every missile guidance system depends on one invisible layer, the electromagnetic spectrum. In the Strait of Hormuz, speed changes everything. If you can interfere with how quickly and how accurately the opponent processes information, you don't just slow them down, you disrupt their entire decision cycle. That's where platforms like the EA-18G Growler, equipped with the next-generation jammer, NGJ, come in. Unlike traditional strike aircraft, the Growler isn't focused on physical destruction. It works at the signal level, shaping how the battlefield is perceived. Using digital radio frequency memory, DRFM, it can capture incoming radar signals, modify them in real time, send them back with altered data. The effect shows up directly on enemy sensors. An opposing radar system might register ships that don't exist, real ships appearing in the wrong position, or no usable targets at all. At the same time, GPS signals can be degraded or spoofed. Communication links can be disrupted. Targeting systems lose reliability. Now put that into the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow corridor, heavy traffic, almost no reaction time. Everything depends on getting identification right, instantly. Even a small amount of bad data starts to ripple through the system. Because the difference between a civilian vessel and a coordinated threat often comes down to seconds. If those seconds are compromised, hesitation sets in. And in this environment, hesitation is enough. While the opposing side deals with that confusion, the US network keeps working with clarity, becoming more precise, more selective, and faster in decision-making. The kill web, how the system executes. Once a threat is confirmed through NIFC-CA, anomaly detection, or electronic surveillance, the response isn't a single weapon. The system activates a kill web, a layered engagement structure designed to match each threat with the most efficient counter. At long range, SM-6 missiles intercept high-speed aerial or maritime threats beyond visual range. At medium range, MH-60R Seahawk helicopters deploy precision-guided weapons. AH-64E Apache helicopters engage low-altitude maritime targets. A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft deliver sustained firepower against swarm boats. At close range, Helios directed energy lasers, Phalanx CIWS, close-in weapon system. What really stands out here isn't just the layering, it's how the system chooses. Most threats in Hormuz are asymmetric. Low-cost speedboats, improvised attack platforms, swarm tactics built around inexpensive assets. If you answer every one of those with high-cost missiles, you create your own problem. So the system evaluates threat type, distance, time to impact, cost per engagement. Then it selects the most efficient response. That's what allows operations to continue without burning through resources. Sustainment, why the system holds. Blockades aren't decided at the moment of deployment. They're decided over time. The real advantage goes to whoever can stay in position longer, without interruption. Through underway replenishment, UNREP, the US Navy keeps its forces supplied without pulling them out of the area. Ships can refuel, reload munitions, take on supplies, all while remaining at sea. Support vessels like Henry J. Kaiser-class oilers, Lewis and Clark-class dry cargo ships transfer fuel, ammunition, and supplies between moving ships using connected rigs. No port calls, no pause in operations. That means the entire structure, from sensors to strike systems, keeps running without reset. And that continuity is what turns presence into control. Now think about this. If a system can detect anomalies before they become threats, manipulate what the opponent sees, and respond with optimized precision in real time, do you think any Navy in the world can break this US Navy blockade in the Strait of Hormuz? Which layer actually decides the outcome? AI detection, electronic warfare, or raw firepower? Give me your take in the comments, and send this to someone who still thinks a blockade is just ships and missiles, because that idea doesn't hold anymore. If you want more breakdowns of how US military systems actually work, hit subscribe.